Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Kyle Curley. I'm the president of Allen County Council. Last week, about this exact time, the mayor of the city of Fort Wayne was on his way to the State House in Indianapolis to testify in front of the House Ways and Means Committee to advocate to increase the Allen County Food and Beverage Tax, which actually would have been the city of Fort Wayne Food and Beverage Tax, 1%. As you can see behind me, we have representatives from City Council, County Council, the Mayor of New Haven, a number of other fiscal bodies in Allen County, along with representatives from some of the 60 restaurants in the city and county that are opposing this tax. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and our restaurants have been one of the most damaged segments of our economy. It's irresponsible at this time to take any action that would further harm them, their families, and the people that they support. They are a huge part of our economy. Our restaurants generate millions of dollars of tax revenue that goes to support streets, infrastructures, roads. This tax would entice people to not go to restaurants. This tax would actually hurt those that are most already affected by the pandemic. We have a number of food deserts in this community. People that live in food deserts tend to eat out. They're typically in lower income areas, so this tax would hurt them the most. It's not going to hurt people that live in wealthy parts of the county or people that have higher income levels. It was good to see that all these restaurants came together to oppose this, to send a message to the State House that this is something that the city of Fort Wayne and Allen County simply aren't interested in. And on that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve McMichael, the mayor of New Haven, who has a few comments.
Good morning. As Councilman Curley said, my name is Steve McMichael. I am the mayor of New Haven. I stand here today in opposition of any amendment to House Bill 1105, which would allow for additional taxation on food and beverage in Fort Wayne or Allen County. We are in the middle of a pandemic. It is the wrong time to even have this discussion to raise taxes on those businesses that have been most affected by the pandemic. I stand in support of the bar and restaurant industry in opposing any hike in the food and beverage tax, particularly at this time. Mayor Henry has stated that he does not have any particular projects in mind, that he just wants in his toolbox. So let's slow down, let's get past the pandemic before we even have this discussion. And I ask our state representatives, our legislators, to vote no on this amendment if it does come in front of them, and at the very least, remand this to summer study so that the food and beverage industry can have a say in this along with the other municipalities. But it is absolutely the incorrect time to further harm our local businesses and the restaurant and business industry. Thank you. And now, Councilman Tom Didier.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you letting me speak. As they both spoke pretty eloquently, it's not the right time to do something of this nature, especially the industry that they're trying to put this tax on. You know, the first tax was put in 1986, and there's some people that are in this room that were opposed to that tax at that particular time. And the tax itself serves its purpose for what it's for. It's for economic development, for the CIB. And the thing is what Russ and myself are basically championing this resolution that we're going to bring forward. We're going to ask the legislators to not vote in favor of doing something in regards to this particular tax. I myself have been dealing with the restaurant industry for over 30 years myself for the company that I work for as a sales rep. So it's kind of ironic when I spoke with the mayor a couple weeks ago, I said this is really not a great idea from the standpoint of how it is portrayed. I guess I think the one thing that I'm looking at is if there was a level playing field in regards to what we were looking at, but you're pointing out to an industry right now that, as both Kyle and the mayor spoke, we're in a pandemic, and the restaurant industry, Business Weekly this last week just wrote an article, $240 billion loss in the restaurant industry, United States, the whole United States, $240 billion loss. And for myself personally, I know it. I felt it in my own pocketbook because of the loss of revenue for these restaurants, that some of them that I actually have as customers. But for me personally, I take it personally because they're a part of a family. This whole community, Fort Wayne, Indiana, it's a part of a family. The way the other restaurants treat the other restaurants, they do it in a manner, you don't see it in other communities. And I think that's the thing that's why you see such solidarity behind us, because they realize they want to help the community. They got no problem helping the community. They want to do it. They want the community to thrive, because by the community thriving, it helps them all thrive. And that's what they want. But they don't want to do it the way the mayor is proposing, by adding a 1% food and beverage tax on top of the 1% that's already there. So for me personally, I take it personally because they're all taking it personally. They want to do what's best for their patrons. The waiters, the waitresses, you would not believe how hard they all work every single day to do the jobs that they do and to put out the food that they put out. And then to have this 1% hanging over them, it's difficult because let's put it in perspective. If you put a 1% tax on a car, how much revenue would that create? So it's a little bit different situation when you're talking about 1% in a restaurant. They're working on a 3% profit margin. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. Even though it's a user tax, you're putting the use on just restaurants and bars. And I'm sorry, I just can't agree with it. So thank you very much. I believe I'm bringing up Jimmy.
Well, thanks for organizing this. We really appreciate it. My name is Jimmy Schindler. I am with Bandito's Mexican Restaurants and Guadalupe's Mexican Grill here locally. We've been in the community since 1980. I'm here to speak on behalf of all of the restaurants opposing this new tax on people who live in Fort Wayne city limits. The restaurant industry is suffering right now. It's an extremely serious situation. 20% of all restaurants, Hoosiers, 20% of restaurants have closed permanently in our state already, and we anticipate that number to escalate in the next few months. Our employees and their families are suffering. They're dealing with reduced hours due to decreased traffic in our four walls. They're dealing with food insecurity, housing uncertainty, mental health issues. The problems are, I assure you, are real. And these are people that we go to church with, the kids go to school with our kids, and we think it's a time to show compassion. Throughout the pandemic, as we've suffered, we have been paying this 1% food and beverage tax. We are proud of what we've done as an industry for the city. We have a 1% food and beverage tax, which has contributed tens of millions of dollars to parks, parking garages, and many, many other projects in our city. We are pro Fort Wayne, we are pro growth, and we want to see these projects go through. But we're already paying a 1% tax, and we're getting bludgeoned to death by this pandemic. I would challenge many of the business owners in this community who are not in our business to step up, to lobby for a 1% tax on their own industries that are thriving right now, to show solidarity and to show compassion with the restaurant industry who is suffering. We hear that it's a penny, right? So there shouldn't be a ton of opposition. We think that it's the fair thing to do to step up and lobby for a tax on their own industries. This is not the time to do it to restaurants whose families and employees are suffering. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll invite Councilman Curley back up to close it out. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. As was pointed out today, the restaurants enjoy this community. They support this community. They've been hurt hard. Kind of to go back to what happened last year as part of Frontline Fridays, the restaurants behind us donated over 10,000 meals to frontline workers. They did that to help the community. So they're for the community. We're all for the community. We just think there's better ways to meet the needs where we want to get than adding a tax on the restaurants, and that's going to hurt this industry. So in that, I'm going to close the press conference, and we'll all be available for questions individually. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for showing up. Appreciate it.